Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're jumping straight into what is essentially a massive turf war. We're going to break down the fierce rivalry that kicked off back in 2017 between two tech titans over how we store our single most valuable asset, data. So you're probably wondering who actually wins this table format war. Because, fast forward to 2026, and nearly every major data platform on Earth, I'm talking everyone from Snowflake to Google Cloud, has had to either pick a side or build a bridge in this battle. But to truly understand who comes out on top, we've got to look at how this rivalry actually started.
All right, Section 1, the data lake problem.
To really get why this war even happened, we have to talk about the messy middle ground of storage that started the whole thing. For years, companies faced this massive dilemma. On one hand, you had data lakes. They were super cheap, highly flexible, and you could dump basically anything into them. But they were notoriously unreliable. You couldn't safely update a single row without risking total table corruption. Then, on the flip side, you had data warehouses. These were incredibly reliable, fully transactional, but extremely expensive and super rigid. So companies like Netflix, who were generating literally billions of rows of streaming data a day, were just breaking their legacy systems trying to force that cheap storage to act like a reliable database.
And that painful trade-off, well, it led to the birth of the Lakehouse. This was this powerful new architecture designed to bring data warehouse-style reliability, think bulletproof ACID transactions and strict schema enforcement, directly to that cheap cloud storage. This holy grail of architecture is exactly what both sides of our war were chasing.
Moving on to Section 2, let's meet the rival formats. Back in 2017, two totally different engineering teams decided to tackle this Lakehouse dream, setting up a kind of hilarious showdown. A movie streaming company battling a big data analytics startup. On the left, we have Apache Iceberg. Born at Netflix to handle enormous data sets, it was designed from day one as a pure open specification. It is totally engine agnostic. It genuinely doesn't care what software you use. On the right, Delta Lake, born at Databricks and created by the original builders of Apache Spark. They wanted to bring that much-needed reliability directly into the Spark ecosystem their customers were already using every single day. Okay, Section 3, the architecture battleground. Let's peek under the hood for a second. Apache Iceberg uses this hierarchical tree structure for its metadata. You start at a top-level metadata file, which points down to manifest lists, which point to manifest files, and then finally to your actual data files. Now, why does this matter? Because this tree shape allows query engines to massively prune and just eliminate irrelevant data branches before they ever touch a single row of data. It's unbelievably efficient at scale.
Delta Lake, on the other hand, actually, let's look at it this way. They take a completely different approach. They rely on a flat transaction log of sequential JSON commits. Conceptually, it's way simpler to wrap your head around. But the catch is, at extreme scales or with incredibly high write volumes, this flat log can require more frequent checkpointing into Parquet files just to stay fast.
Now, when we get down to the actual data storage formats, there's a pretty stark difference in flexibility. Iceberg is deliberately file agnostic. You can mix Parquet, ORC, and Avro formats right within the exact same system. Delta Lake, they stay true to a philosophy of doing one thing exceptionally well, so they are strictly, almost exclusively built around Parquet. But honestly, performance is where things really heat up. When it comes to updates and deletes, both formats now use something called deletion vectors. These are basically small files that mark rows as deleted without forcing you to rewrite massive data files. However, Iceberg's version 3 recently made this a first-class citizen, making merge-heavy update workloads up to 10 times faster than the old way of doing things. Crazy, right? Section 4, ecosystems and catalogs. Look, metadata trees are super fascinating, but let's be real, engineers ultimately pick formats based on tool support. On one side of this catalog war, Delta Lake tightly integrates with Databricks' immensely powerful Unity catalog. It gives you the deepest possible integration, but mostly within that one specific ecosystem. On the flip side, Iceberg's REST catalog specification took the exact opposite approach. It basically became the broad de facto industry standard implemented across a ton of different cloud engines, everyone from Snowflake to Dremio to Tabular. Then, the whole landscape completely shifted in 2024. In a move that absolutely shocked the industry, Databricks acquired Tabular. Think about that for a second. The company that created Delta Lake bought the company founded by Iceberg's very own creators. It was a massive industry shift. Fast forward to 2026, And we see AWS launching S3 tables and officially making Iceberg its native format. Suddenly, even fierce competitors have to support each other's formats just to stay relevant.
Which brings us to Section 5, the interoperability twist.
So, if competitors are literally buying each other out, and Snowflake and AWS are adopting rival tech, who actually won this table format war? Well, the truth is, by 2026, they're converging. Take Delta Uniform, for example. It lets you write a normal Delta table, but it simultaneously generates valid Iceberg and Apache Hudi metadata pointing at the exact same underlying data files. Zero data duplication, but you get to read it natively in 3 different formats. It's a total game changer.
And it goes even further than that. We now have incredible open source tools like Apache Xtable, seamlessly performing omnidirectional metadata translation between Iceberg, Delta, and Hudi. You just point it at a table written in any one of those formats, and it instantly generates working metadata for the others. And again, without copying a single byte of actual data.
So, practically speaking, what does this interoperable future mean for your engineering choices today? It really just comes down to your specific stack. If you're deep in the Databricks ecosystem, Delta Lake with Uniform is absolutely your best bet. If you're building a multi-engine, cloud-agnostic platform from scratch, Iceberg is the safest long-term bet. And if you're dealing with high-frequency streaming upserts, Apache Hudi still holds a very specialized edge. The reality is, interoperability is actively erasing the technical gaps between these formats right before our eyes.
Let's just take a quick look at the final scoreboard here to summarize this clash of titans. We've got 2 distinct origin stories in completely different architectural philosophies. On one side, you have hierarchical trees born from a streaming giant, and on the other, flat transaction logs forged by big data analytics pioneers. Yet today, they are increasingly connected in their overarching mission to bring total reliability back to our data.
At the end of the day, just memorizing syntax or trying to pick the winning team isn't going to cut it anymore. What really matters is understanding the underlying concepts of bulletproof ACD guarantees, strict schema enforcement, and metadata pruning. Because those concepts, that's what every modern platform is actually built on. So I'll leave you with this. How will you adapt your skills to thrive in this fully interoperable future? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.